All right, hey y'all. I'm trying to initiate this particular YOLO with ToLo. Oh, sorry, I got issues with my phone. So let me see if I can try to add Toan if we can get rid of these echoey issues because I'm over it. Facebook needs to get that together. We do want to talk about our vision boarding. So let's see
Hey,
what happens. Hey, can you hear me? Are we echoey?
you're good. Okay, so it sounds good. Welcome to episode 37 of YOLO with ToLo. There have been issues with Facebook. We've been seeing it on the different platforms or online that people have been complaining about audio issues. So some feedback. But anyway, we're okay now. Hi.
Hello. It's so weird
Welcome
hearing myself
everybody.
on that side of the screen, but
Yeah,
hey.
right. We're flipped around this time because you initiated, but that's all good. We're excited to have you guys here. I'm excited to see you. Episode 37 this week is a continuation of part 2 of vision boarding. The vision of you is what we're calling it. Because last week, after we finished our conversation, there were so many other questions that people had, that we had. So we just figured we would just continue it if that's what y'all want to talk about. And again, if you're just coming in here for the first time and listening to our conversation, we just basically talk about conversations that we've been having with people, things that have been on people's minds, and sharing our wisdom and actually crowdsourcing wisdom. So Kevin is our producer today. Hi, Kevin. He's actually here in San Francisco in the other room. We are warm here. I'm not trying to brag, but I know y'all experiencing a polar vortex in Chicago,
It's
right? You're stranded.
horrible, horrible. I have it. If you look
Paint the
outside,
picture. Paint the picture for me.
if you look outside, it's clear, it's beautiful. There's like snow, and you see like the little um, exhaust coming off the little chimneys and stuff. But if you step out there, you don't even have to step out there. You step to the window, you can feel it's like
Whoa.
-11 now or something. I'm just like, this is unfit for humans. I haven't been outside. I have a good friend in town from Detroit, and we were going to try to meet, but I'm like, child, I'm not coming out in this weather. I love you, but this is not going to happen today.
I just saw on Facebook one of my friends, Annabelle, who's a anchor at I think it's Telemundo there, outside of her window, and I've been in her skyrise, and outside all the Lake Michigan is totally
It's like
like
steaming.
ice over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's ice
it's
over, and then
crazy.
like at the shore, it's steaming because
Yeah,
it's the water's like 34 degrees or something like that.
yeah.
So the and
A-
yeah,
And I was just looking. I just did a quick check with different news stations, and there's been I think 6 deaths reported so far. So it's really serious. This polar vortex that's been kind of sweeping across the Midwest, and I think even towards the Atlantic area too. So
yeah. So I'm going towards the Atlantic
stay
area in a couple
warm.
of days, but hopefully this will have moved through. Hey, Fiona,
Yeah.
Jen, it's snowing in the
Yeah.
UK
So
also.
also, if y'all, hey Fiona, from the UK, if you are watching, tell us where you're at and how warm you are. Hey Jen. Mwah. Um, okay, Jen works at Facebook, so today we were having a little bit of issues. So can you report that right quick?
Please and thank you, Jen. We love
Okay,
you.
Uh, Fiona says it's snowing in the UK. Oh, we're sending kisses and warm energy, warm vibes to you, but it ain't as cold as Lonnell, I'm sure, with that.
I'm not
They've
going
been
outside.
saying what? There's negative 48. It feels like negative 48 degrees or something
Right.
like that.
And I don't even want to
You
know
don't
what
even know.
that feels like. So it feels that feels horrible against the window. So I'm definitely not going out at the door. So no, I'm holed up for another day or so. Yay!
Well,
Hello,
let me warm
topics.
you up with this hot pink slate here that I created a long time ago. YOLO with Tolo, episode 1, Tolo's Hot Topics. So let's talk about this polar vortex. What? So, are you trapped there? What's going on?
Well, there were a lot of flights that were canceled. I was scheduled to be here yesterday, so but then today they said, um, you can't go out because it's so the extreme cold. I was gonna go home to Atlanta, but it's Super Bowl weekend, and I need to be in New York on Monday, and I don't want to try to get out of
Okay.
Atlanta on Monday with everybody and their mother leaving the Super Bowl.
Yes.
I,
Smart.
yeah, so
Smart.
I was like, no, I'll just go to New York first. So I plan to go to New York. So if my homies in New York, be on alert. I'll be there. Um, I'll probably go Friday, possibly tomorrow night, but most likely it'll be Friday. So New York City, I'll be getting up out of this foolishness here in Chicago. It's crazy. I wish I could show you out the window, but if I do, the phone messes up and the
Yeah.
thing falls. So I'm sorry. Love y'all, but it's
I mean, I would show you outside my window, but you know what? It's really nice outside.
yeah,
Okay.
thanks. So
I'm not rubbing it in. Anyway.
so yeah, wherever you are, pay attention to the weather reports. Be safe. Your safety is everything. Um, FaceTime. Did you hear
Hey,
about what happened
Stephanie,
with?
by
Oh, hey, Steph. What is it?
hey, Steph, from Florida. What's the weather like? We're trying to figure out what the weather's like everywhere. Okay, so FaceTime. There's some
Have you
drama
heard
with
about this? Yeah, did
FaceTime.
you hear about this drama where there's
Mm-hmm.
something like, I guess in the group FaceTime chat, you can still hear someone else's conversation even though they don't pick up if you call them. So it's like eavesdropping on people. Like, no, I
Mm-hmm.
just disabled the whole entire feature. Like, at what point is like this social media and this connection stuff? When does it become too invasive? And for me, I think that definitely is it. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. I mean, I don't have a problem saying what I got to say to your face, but nonetheless, if I whatever I'm saying,
In the event that,
right, but I need to know that you are hearing me, not sneaking. I don't know. That's just I don't know how they are going to address that, but how do you feel about that?
well, apparently I was just checking with Kevin and Kevin chimed in, our producer, and he was talking about how it looks like the bug isn't fixed yet. So after you said you disabled FaceTime, I didn't even know we could disable FaceTime, but I will disable it. I'm usually on FaceTime really only to talk to my niece and nephew because I want to see their cute faces. But I have been on, I don't know if you tried it, but I have been on the new FaceTime, like the iOS, where you can like add 3 people. So I was on it with 5 different people.
Okay.
But it's kind of like Big Brother, right? I mean, like back not so long ago, there was an issue with like, was it Alexa or just recording, or was it Google? I forget.
Right.
Anyway, one of these electronics recording your conversation and then sending it sent it to the person that they were talking about. So you just got to be careful because there's a time, I'm not going to lie, there was a time when we had a friend that was having an issue. We're trying to help her get out of it. We're brainstorming, but I accidentally texted that friend on accident.
Yeah, so, and I've done that too.
Yeah.
I was like, oops, I texted the wrong person. I'm like, sorry, that's not for you. And I'm always afraid that something that like I would send to like one of my friends or to someone else, whatever, like I'm gonna accidentally text it to my mom, and it'll be so inappropriate, and I'll have to explain. So I don't know. It just gets tricky in this whole technology age because. First of all, you have to understand on all levels, I think privacy is just a thing of the past. That's a relic of the past. So I don't know.
But do we give in? This is the thing. How much do we give into it? Like last week we talked about in our digital detox segment about like, there's an article written that, like that we just have to kind of like just give into it, and that it's just become a part of our lives and it's invasive. And I just had this conversation yesterday with another friend of mine who's totally like gotten off of social media, and he's in his mid-20s because he says it gives him anxiety. And to a certain extent, I think it gives us all some sort of anxiety or some sort of, even if you're as well-versed or on it as much as we've been on it, you and I, there is something that makes you feel like energetically, for me, off. And some people could call it, it makes them depressed or anxious or envious or whatever. But how much do you give in and how much do you not give in? Because guess what? If you're a professional, we got to kind of use Google, or Gmail, right? Or I'm on a project right now. We're using, the Gmail interface and Google Docs. I have a Google Mini here in my home. So it's like, how much of it can you control and how much of it do you just kind of have to give in? And so that kind of freaks me out.
The checklist that we're going to get to a little later on, the digital detox digital detox segment, I think that's I think that'll be a good barometer for people to, and us included, to kind of gauge where you are. Because sometimes, like what you're saying, all makes sense. I'm working, but is that an excuse, or am I really kind of sort of just doing this? I don't know. So it's like, I don't know. It's an addiction. I mean, I don't have many vices, but my phone is one. So yeah,
you're in my you're in my head because I just literally told somebody that yesterday. I was like, look, I don't drink. Once in a while I have a little sip of wine here and there, but I don't drink. That's one thing. I don't do drugs, unless you call Claritin a drug, but which could be actually. But one of the things that I am and have been addicted to and I don't like, or a vice that I have, is being on your phone. And you and I have talked about, like, in the middle of the night, going to the bathroom, you pick up your phone and you're checking Instagram or Twitter. I mean, I'm guilty of it.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why. It's just a habit.
Right. An addiction. We're addicted. Just call it what it is. It's like, so yeah, I need to detox from that. Definitely. So I love what Fiona says about, just take time and be in nature more. And I love that. But even when I'm in nature, I find myself, okay, I want to share this. So I'm like pulling out the phone And it's like, no,
Yeah.
no, no. So I'm much better with that. Like if I'm hiking or when I'm out having those moments, I try to be fully present, and I'll try to check myself. Are you really being present if you're reaching for your phone? So yeah, but it's just constantly, I think, monitoring that and engaging where you are, and acknowledging that.
Yeah. So one thing. Amen. Amen. Yeah. So one thing that I've been able to do too is, so I just got back from a 3-week trip from Peru. I did not activate my data. And so what I would do though is I love taking photos. That's just, to me, it's an artistic expression, you know, and Fiona's an artist. You feel me on this one. So I don't mind taking a quick photo and I'm done. And then I go home at night, get on the internet, and then upload them in batches. And it was funny how warped, or how perspectives could be warped in terms of whether you're whether you are the user or the purveyor, if you will, or on the other end. Because I went to the gym here, and one of the guys was like, "Oh my God, I couldn't keep up with your Insta stories. It looked like you had such an amazing time in Peru, but you had so many uploads that it was just like, were you on social media the whole time?" And I was like, "Actually, I was on it much. I would take a couple photos. I'd take some photos throughout the day." And then at night when I go home, there's batch for the stories on Instagram. You can hit, select multiple images, boom, 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 and I'm done. So, I think there are different tweaks that we, can employ that works for us. It may not work for everybody, but I think there are certain things that we could do. And just the fact that we are mindful of it now, and when we are picking up the phone in the middle of the night, what are we doing to correct that? And we'll talk about that later in Digital Detox.
Yes.
Kevin says, thanks for posting this, Kevin. He says, looks like Apple was slow to respond when first alerted and is still working on the fix. And he has a link there. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Does that link spam, Miss Apple? No.
So I don't know. I think a part of it is, I'm on a couple media projects right now, and I have to use my, email, and I get that. But I'm not on it as much as I think other people are, because there's different things and tricks that I'm doing, which we'll talk about later, that are kind of getting me sort of detoxed off of it. So
right. At least increasing the awareness. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
And we're not even.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's talk about Dump the Hump.
Dump the Hump. And you're seeing the sign backwards, guys, because I forgot to flip the screen when I actually started the conversation. But yeah. But that does say dump the hump, even though it looks like pump the bump.
I'm recycling too, so this. Let's get real. Okay, so so my question in terms of, as we go into dump the hump, where we talk about getting over the Wednesday hump or our challenges, with this whole polar vortex theme, my question to you, Lonnell, and to everybody watching is, what happens when a figurative polar vortex, or the dark or the coldness, life interrupted, something happens to interrupt your life that is unforeseen? What do you do,
right,
to get out of it?
To get out of that. Well, this polar vortex, the physical, literal one that's happening here in Chicago right now, has actually kind of put me in that funk, because I'm not used to being constrained or restricted in this
way. You're out and about. Yep.
And but what do? Do I sit up here and mope about that all day? No, I did for the first half of yesterday, maybe. And I was like, okay, now what? Get over yourself. So it's like, okay, now how can you maximize this time? Surrender, 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 surrender. Stop trying to force. You can't do anything about this weather for the next 2 days. Okay.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do in place of that? I'm not going to sit here.
How to react
in place
to
of worrying.
That's right. Yeah. How do you react to it is basically what you're saying. Yeah. Because you can't control the weather, but you can control how you respond to it. Doing. Yeah. So go to the gym.
I went to the gym the first night. It was very snowy and sticky and slippery, and it wasn't as much fun. So I was actually working out here.
The gym. The gym in the hotel. Is there an okay gym?
I'm not in a hotel right now. I'm in a condo, but when I am in a hotel, I always go to the gym. But I did go to a gym. Okay. There's a gym like a mile from where I am. Okay. And normally I would walk to it, but I Ubered or took a Lyft. And then, I worked out. But last night, they announced they would have limited hours because of the weather. So you can't, I don't know. So, and I usually go later in the evening. So we'll see. I don't know. So, but to say, to answer your question, yeah, you just said when those polar vortexes come over your life, you just have to get still and take an opportunity to get what you can get from it and find another way to be productive. And really that comes through that comes to just surrendering. Stop trying to fight what you can't change. You change, you know, change how you respond to it. Or find another way. Just find another way to do something better for yourself.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just suffering.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I mean, like if you're getting pissed off because you get a flat tire in the snow or whatever happens, like it doesn't help the situation. So you just gotta. One of my favorite quotes from Eckhart Tolle, I think it's from his book A New Earth, and I quote that a lot because I just love that book so much. So many life lessons and gems. Is he goes, "It is what it is," and when you realize it is what it is, then you go about figuring out, okay, well, how am I going to fix it instead of getting mad about it? But, you know, one thing you mentioned that's very interesting is the whole idea of surrendering. And many of us use different words. Like I like to say, you know, you could go with the flow. Because guess what? When you're going with the flow, there's so much more like ease that happens, right?
Right.
And so, you know, if you pay attention to nature, I've had blogged about this before, and you're looking at a swan in the water. The swan is like super elegant, beautiful, right? Just flowing in the water. But once it gets up and it's out of its flow and it's, you know, on land where it's really not supposed to be for too long, it waddles and it looks really awkward. So I feel like so many times in my life when I feel off, when I'm paying attention to my body and I'm like, ugh, well, that I feel drained because of that person or that experience, or, you know, I'm at this job or I'm doing whatever I'm doing that I have a stomach ache or it doesn't feel right. I'm paying attention to that because that means that I'm out of the flow. And I think that being in nature is one of the biggest things that Fiona talked about earlier. So that's for sure. But let's talk a little bit about surrendering though. Like, what does surrendering mean to you? Some people might think, well, surrendering is giving up, but I think it's really the opposite.
It might be giving up your attempt to control a particular situation. But as you know, the biggest lesson I think for me with surrender has been through the use of the vision boards. And I noticed the things that I actually put on there that I just really can't figure out how they're going to manifest. Truly, I just really surrender that, and then those things tend to manifest faster than those things that where I view like money as being the way. I need to have this amount of money to have this experience, and when I've done that, yeah, it's like, but that's not really surrender. Surrender is really just letting go of your need to manipulate and control the how. The how is not your
expectation.
Yeah, and your expectation. So that's not your business to worry about. You speak the answer, and then you let God or the universe work out the how. You just look for the next right move, and when you do that, you'll get there. But surrender is it's not giving up at all. If you're giving up anything, it's your need to control and manipulate the situation.
I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. Just like everything, I was just speaking with Kevin about this and another friend recently, yesterday, about this, how in my life, there are 3 major career things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a TV reporter. I wanted to run scripts to LeVar Burton on Reading Rainbow. You know the story. It's like, and I ended up co-hosting a show on PBS instead of running scripts to him, a show on PBS. I wanted to be a TV reporter, ended up doing that, and then I wanted to teach at a college level, did all that. But you know what the interesting thing was? I employed exactly what we're talking about here. It's the desire to do it and putting my intention out there. Acting as if I was already doing it, because I would start going out there and interning and doing stand-ups and practicing writing scripts. And so I just thought about and meditated on and thought about often like what it would be like to be in those shoes every day and in that job, right? But I did surrender to the fact that, you know what, I don't have control over. Back in the day, we had to send VHS tapes out. That's how old we are. How old I am. But I had to send VHS tapes instead of a link of my resume reel, and I would send it out, and you know, I sent 12 tapes out and I got 2 calls back right away. And I was very fortunate because I know stories of people who have sent 200-300 VHS tapes and got 0 calls. And so, you know, for me, I believe that there's a direct connection to God in terms of like, okay, what am I, is what I am desiring to do in alignment with who I am,
right?
And also, is it going, for me, it was important that, is it going to help people? Am I going to use these gifts to help people? And then that's what the surrender is. It's, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's all good for me, you know? Speaking about being in the flow, let's move on to segment 3. Talk to ToLo.
Some great questions, yes, from last week.
There's a lot of great questions from last week. So if y'all got questions about vision boarding, I know I do. Feel free to just comment below and we'll answer those. We'll just get right into one of the first questions from last week. Question 1 is, do you share your vision board publicly or with friends? So let's talk publicly first. You're the resident pro. I want to say thank you so much. You inspired me to start 3 vision boards last week on 3 different things.
I'm so excited that so many people have been inspired to do this. This stuff really works. It does work if you work it. So I'm just glad that that my demonstration has inspired someone else. Because I'm telling you, if nothing else, you will take spiritual control of your life. Now, do I share? I personally do not share my vision board publicly while it's in process. That's a personal choice. It's not some belief that it's not a superstitious thing at all. I just personally want to be mindful of the energetic vibration that I allow into this process. So I don't, I'm not putting on my board saying, woohoo, hey y'all, this is what I want to do. But I don't have anything against that. So the only friends that I would share it with necessarily are particular, if someone comes to my house and they happen to come up to my room, if they're lucky enough, where my vision board is, and they ask about it, then I may, share some of the stuff on it. Or like the last board that I did with my friend G. Smalls, the co-founder of the Gentleman's Foundation, I shared with him and his son because we were making ours together. So if you're in the process with me, then you're part of that energetic vibration. I don't mind sharing it. I don't have anything against sharing per se, but it's just a personal preference of mine that I don't do it right away.
Yeah. I think for me, the life lesson there beyond vision boarding is even our deepest dreams, because it's sacred, right? What you intend to do, your intentions, I think, are a sacred thing. So you got to be careful. You can't just tell everybody that, like, hey, guess what? I want to be a TV reporter, because there are jealous people out there, or people that have negative energy that's going to try to bring you down. But if I'm talking with you or Kevin or friends of ours that like are just as excited as though, when they hear your good news, as though they got that news themselves, right, or they got that opportunity, then I feel like that helps sort of even manifest it more. So I think what you're saying is, for me, it resonates, because even with your vision board, with your dreams, with whatever you're doing, you've got to be careful, because it's, trifling. There's trifling people out there. You just
It's true. You have to be mindful of energy. Like Dr. Brene Brown says, she says, only share your story with those who have earned the right to hear it. And so again, you know what I'm saying? Be mindful and be intentional about who you allow into that energetic space. So don't just let them see afterwards, and you can tell them how the process is.
Yeah. Speaking about good people, there's Alex.
Hey, Alex. Oh my gosh. Is he in Texas yet? Are you in Texas yet, Alex? But yeah, you're right. It's really important to really just share it with people that you trust and who are rooting for your rise. Everybody. Yeah. Everyone.
I like that. We're talking about vision boarding part 2 today, because last week we got so many questions. So the second question is something that I had for you when I started my vision board last week. A couple days after we chatted, I texted you and I said, hey, Lonnell, does a vision board that is on a digital format work? I use Pinterest and I privatize mine so the world can't see it. But I have 3 different ones for 3 sort of different they're all kind of spiritual projects that I'm manifesting. And it's happening, but does a digital vision board work? And if y'all are using digital vision board, please tell me what worked and what didn't. And Alex, welcome to Texas. Yeehaw. Yeehaw.
Listen.
Hey, Jen. Okay.
Listen, yes. The short answer is yes. And Sarah Centrella, who I'm in her book, Hustle, Believe, Receive, and which talks about, we do a whole book on the 8 steps of manifesting all these things. She primarily uses Pinterest. She doesn't pull stuff from magazines or etc. So a digital format, there are even apps that are digital that I use that are digital vision boards. I personally still prefer to use a paper one on my wall when I'm home.
Okay.
But listen, it is not the board or the digital image is not, that's not where the power lies. That's just a symbol, a reminder for you to do the work spiritually. So it doesn't matter if it can even be in your head. My very, very first vision board that I didn't realize what I was doing was back when I was in high school. And it wasn't even a physical board. It was more so mental images in my mind and constantly seeing myself in this particular space. So yes, you can do it digitally, whatever works for you. You just need to be constantly reminded that, to ask yourself, am I in the energetic space where I would be, or that I see myself being when I attain this particular goal? So so you can do it digitally. You can have a physical one. I do both, actually.
And it's funny is that you mentioned that, because I've had some pretty high goals, professional goals in my life, and they were pinned in here, and I did in my head, like I lived as though I was doing it. I felt I dressed as though, like, going to my internships with TV reporters, I dressed as though I was a TV reporter. I practiced on my scripts and on my on-camera stuff, and so I in my head was already doing it. But I'm a visual person and artist, so I love in my head to visualize things. But with the vision board, it helps me see things and actually go back to things when I see them and pin them. So Alex, thanks for sharing. Alex says, I make my vision board on Illustrator and put it on my phone. You know what, you are way younger than me, maybe, or way more technologically advanced, because that stresses me out. But yeah, I guess Lonnell is what you said, and I started doing the Pinterest because of your comment. Your text back to me was, you're like, yes, absolutely, and exactly what you just said to everybody you shared with me. So thanks for sharing that. Alex says, I agree with Lonnell. The power lies in the manifestation and intention behind it, and it is a reminder of what's possible.
What is possible?
Oh, I got the chills.
It's so true. And you've got to believe that. I'm going to make this quick because I know we got to wrap this segment up. But you've got to believe. I'll give you an example. Like with me, with the Obamas, because that's been the thing everybody's been talking about with my manifestation. I had no idea how that was going to be. So I put it on the vision board, slapped it up there, and was like, okay, universe, deal with it. Just show me the next right move.
2016. In 2016.
In 2016, correct.
Okay.
Now, mind you, there are things that have been on my vision board for 10 years. And why haven't those things manifest? Well, one, I realized I haven't given it the same spiritual surrender, because with the Obamas, I was totally clueless as to how that would happen. So I had no choice but to let it all go. But with some of these other things, they're material possessions, and I'm like, well, in the back of my mind, I'm still trying to figure it out financially, and that is literally blocking the blessing. And to this day, I'm still trying to figure it out financially, and I'm not using the same type of surrender. So if you're going to surrender and using these powers, and cultivating yourself spiritually, you got to surrender totally, and that's a hard thing to do.
That's hard. That dovetails into Jen's question here. Jen says, how do y'all balance expectations from a vision board versus the actual reality of the hard work that it takes to make that vision possible?
You never stop the work. You still got to work. You still got to move in the direction, but what you're doing is, as you're physically doing your work, you are spiritually training yourself to go higher. So it's not, you just have to be aware of both. You don't give up one to the other. They're both, you have to use them both, do them both simultaneously.
Yeah, I 100,000% agree with that. And everything that I have wanted to manifest, and Kevin can attest to this, and many people do. They're like, wait, how did you get flown all the way to Sydney, Australia, to speak about, telling your story with impact and the things like, paying attention and downloading the aha moments and manifesting them. I'm like, you know what? You got to manifest it. So Kevin's like, Kevin loves Australia. He's an Aussie at heart. But really, that's the thing, is Kevin talked about Jen just before this. So if you had to jump off a little bit while he was talking about the whole surrender part, rewind after this is uploaded to Facebook, because this whole conversation will be recorded, but go back to the part where he's talking about surrendering, because for me, everything that I've surrendered to, I've done the work, I'm like, okay, God, here you go, universe, here you go. If it's meant to be, like, show me the way, open doors. And guess what? Everything that's meant to be has opened many more doors than I could even dream of. But it's when the cold happened, Yeah, when the cold happens, like right now, this polar vortex, when it's cold and there are no fruits that are being, that are growing, or, you're not bearing any fruit yet, or emails are slow and whatever, you gotta surrender. And when you have too many expectations, it's not only stresses you out, gives you anxiety because you're living in the future, but it blocks it. So anyway, rewind back to that part. I think that's important. Let's move on, because for time wise here, just to stay on track. Segment 4, digital detox. It's your favorite.
My
it's your
favorite
segment. Okay, so with the new year, I mean, you and I are not about we're about intentions, not trying to like have resolutions and resolve to fix anything. So I was just doing some research about our digital detox, what we're going to talk about this time, and I ran across this at health.com. There's this digital detox checkoff list, and for fun, I thought we would kind of go through this list of like 10 things that I guess experts and surveys said that you should do. And so let's talk a little bit about this, and I would love to hear at y'all at home what you guys do. But the first thing is turn off push notifications. And since our conversation, I think it was like 5 conversations ago, we had talked about that moment. You want to repeat it, or to repeat that story about like how you were taking a selfie with Oprah and Ariana Huffington, and she clowned you. Is clown even a word? I don't know, but I still use it. Okay.
Showing that age, but yeah, she's literally
41-year-old.
No, I was telling her at the Belief premiere about how Ariana Huffington, how I try to turn off my notifications, but I leave the ones on for her and for Oprah. She's like, you could turn those off too. So she's like, you really have to totally detach. And so I'm a lot better.
Because you'll get it anyway.
Yeah, right, exactly. So
if Oprah needs to get a hold of you, you will see it.
Right, exactly.
Eventually.
I did turn off. That was a huge improvement. Now I don't have all notifications.
Huge.
If I'm flying, I still have notifications for my specific flight. There are a few that I still have on there. I have notifications for health, like to get up and move. You are short on your exercise rating today. Some of those I still have, but just nonsensical news and the president's tweets and all that crap, I turn all that.
That would stress me out.
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing?
And emails, unless I'm expecting something, I just can't. Sorry, right. And if I don't respond to your email right away, that means guess what? I haven't checked it.
Right.
Right. So it's all good.
So I think I'm good on that one. So I got one.
Okay. Okay, good. I have zero notifications. I don't like being pinged or dinged or whatever. So I'm checklist for me. 1. So it's just convert to black and white. And we talked about this at a digital detox segment, digital detox segment before, how you can turn your phone on a grayscale. So it just looks kind of boring. So visually, you don't want to be on Instagram and seeing all these pretty, colorful flowers or textiles. So it makes you really not want to pick up the phone. I just thought it was too much work. That didn't work for me because I had it on and off, and I was just like, every time I post something, I want to like play around with the color. It's the artist in me, so that didn't work for me. So
yeah, no,
I never even tried it.
I knew that wasn't for me, so no, I never tried it.
You do you, boo. As long as you know it works for
like,
you. The other one, this one, I do this one all the time, and I love it. So, phone, easy hack. Okay. All you do is when you're hanging out with a friend, I was just hanging out with a friend yesterday, had a couple meetings had been canceled, so we ended up talking for a while. But you know what I did? I checked my phone at the end when I had to go to another meeting. That's it. But you know what you do? Put your phone face down. Because guess what? When the phone lights up, and put it on silent, because when it lights up or buzzes, psychologically, you are addicted to it. You need that hit. You need to see who's pinging you, and it just is bothering you. So you are not in that present moment. So as I was speaking with my friend about like life's big questions, he's a 20-something years old, and very soul cycle is advanced. So we were talking about work and leaving his finance job and all that, and finding his true kind of passion. We barely, I didn't check my phone till the end because I knew it was time for me to meet with someone else, and that was it. So that really works. Do you do that?
Occasionally. It just depends who I'm having dinner with. I mean, and that's just honest. Sometimes if it's somebody that I really want, like if I'm on a date or if I'm with family or friends or we're having an intense kind of interaction. Yeah, I'll actually say, let's put our phones down. None of that. You know, I'll call them out on that, or they'll call me out on that. So it's kind of, it's here and there. Because there's sometimes I'm like, Lord, I need the phone to get through this meal, because Lord, child, this is so boring. So,
well, I don't put myself in that position.
So yeah, I gotta do better about that.
I just find a way to exit. Yeah, I gotta go. See you later. Okay.
Out.
This one really works. This next one really works. Thanks, Kevin. He's posted this link to this article on the top 10 things you could do to digitally detox. Okay, so designate tech-free hours. And so let me tell you what I do. At night, helps me now. At night, I literally don't put the phone next to me, because by habit, I pick it up and swipe for no reason. I don't even know why I pick it up. I'm not checking email or Instagram or nothing. I'm just like swipe, and I'm like, wait, why is this in my hand? So I leave it in another room, and my lazy butt won't want to get up to pick it up, and I don't hear or see it buzzing, so that's fine. So that really helps me. What about you?
I've been doing that kind of, again, like when I travel, I've tried, you know, I'm usually, it depends. If I'm in a suite, it might be a separate room. If I'm in a regular room, then it may not. But what I have done is turned off my personal phone at night. So when I'm traveling for work, so I will turn it off completely, but I still leave the work phone on in case they need to contact me. But that's very limited. You know, there's very limited interaction on there. I'm not getting email notifications or any of that kind of crap. If someone calls me, which is very rare, or sometimes they might text me, I'm on the road. But so I will do that. So again, it's not quite 100%, but I do turn off my personal phone, because that thing just stays lit. So
good job. I'm proud of you. So one thing I've been doing after I got back from Peru is I've been leaving the phone in another room when I go to sleep. That is life-changing for me, because I don't have the urge to go and pick it up. I'm not as addicted. So that really works for me. But if you could designate a text-free, like, you know, hours, or move the phone away from you when you're not in the room. And plus the electromagnetic waves and all that stuff is not good for your body anyway. And energetically, it's not good, because it changes the composition of the energy. So the other thing they say is rediscover paper. Like, I'm just going to skip that one, because
like, you mean like a book?
So rediscover paper, as in, like, instead of using your digital notepad, maybe write instead. And I get that, because at night I've been keeping a journal, like a gratitude journal of 5 things, like, really quick before I go to bed. Because if it takes too long, I won't want to do it. It's too arduous. So I'll just write down 5 things I feel blessed about, which kind of trains my brain the next day to look for more things and be aware of more, you know, things that I want to, be grateful for and manifest, or that are manifesting in front of me. And then the other thing was limit yourself to one screen at a time. And I was making fun of you for this before, because, well, you live tweet with like 3 devices. One time you were on 3 devices.
Yeah, sometimes it's 4. It used to be. I'm not bad now. Right now, I'm only on 2 devices. I'm on my phone and my laptop. I do have 2 more devices over there, but they're turned off right now. So yeah, so I'm down to 2 devices. Yeah, but it's true. I think fewer is probably better. Try to get down to none. Yeah. But yes, definitely so.
See, that's not a problem for me at all, because I just, aside from me, like when I'm on my computer or whatever, and the phone, you know, beeps or whatever, then I look at it. Aside from that, I'm not like simultaneously. That would stress me out. But I know people that, that are computer engineers or app developers that have like 2 or 3 or 4, like social media managers for different TV stations. They have many screens, and like energetically, I would feel drained from that. So drained. Anyway. Speaking about drained, I don't want to drain up all your time. So, and I know you got to go warm up somehow.
Yes, indeed.
Maybe some push-ups and sit-ups.
Something. I'm going to see if the Starbucks.
Because you can't go outside.
Go get me a green tea latte.
Okay. Well, stay warm.
I will.
It's good to see you.
You too. Have a good week. And
thanks, guys, for watching. If you like what you see.
All right.
Yeah, if y'all like what you see, please share, comment, send us your questions.
All that.
See you later.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye. You too.